talk about big spenders, let them know. Almost $2 trillion in deficit reduction. I don't want to hear any more of these lies about reckless spending. We're changing people's lives. And because of the facts, this year, we're delivering the biggest drop in deficit in the history of the United States of America. Look, the point is this. Under my plan for the economy, we've made extraordinary progress. And we put America in a position to tackle a worldwide problem that's worse everywhere but here, inflation. It's sapping the strength of a lot of families. I grew up in a household not far from here, Claymont and Wilmington, where the price of a gallon of gasoline went up. It was a conversation at the dinner table. It mattered. It mattered to my working family. It mattered if the price of food went up. The problem is, Republicans in Congress are doing everything they can to stop my plans to bring down costs on ordinary families. That's why my plan is not finished and why the results aren't finished either. Jobs are back, but prices are still too high. COVID is down, but gas prices are up. Our work isn't done. But here's the deal. America still has a choice to make. A choice between a government by the few, for the few, or a government for all of us. Democracy for all of us, an economy where all of us have a fair shot and a chance to earn our place in the economy. My plan is simple. First, I'm doing everything in my power to blunt Putin's gas price hike. Just since he invaded Ukraine, it's gone up $1.74 a gallon because of nothing else but that. So I have a plan to bring down the cost of gas and food. It's going to take time, but let the world coordinate the largest release, what I've been able to do, the largest release of oil from the global fund in history. 1 million barrels a day, and 240 million barrels to boost global supply while I convinced other nations to join us, to keep prices from rising even more. And I'm working closely with our European partners to get 20 million tons of grain locked in Ukraine out onto the market to help bring down food prices. Folks, look, what Putin's war has done is not only try to wipe out the culture of the Ukrainians, decimate people and commit innumerable war crimes, but he's also prevented the grain, thousands of tons of grain that are locked up in those silos ready to be exported, but they can't get out through the Black Sea because they get blown out of the water. So we're working on a plan to get it out through other countries by rail. But guess what? Ukraine has a system like Russia has, a rail gauge that is different than the gauge of the rest of the tracks in Europe. So we're going to build silos, temporary silos, in the borders of Ukraine, including in Poland, so we can transfer it from those cars into those silos into cars in Europe and get it out to the ocean and get it across the world. But it's taking time. Second, we're to work, bring down gas and food prices. We can save families money and other items. We can change the dynamic of middle-class families. Look, give them a little breathing room, my dad said. You heard me say that before, but imagine. What most middle-class and working-class families do is they look at that monthly bill they have on everything. The rent or the mortgage, the cost of maintaining the car, the food, everything. So if portions of that go up, one of the ways to deal with inflation for families is bring the other costs down. For example, 200,000 people with type 1 diabetes are paying up to $1,000 a month for insulin. we can make sure they pay no more than $35 a month. By that, and by the way, drug companies will still do very well. It'll cost them $10 to develop that insulin. So they're making 3.5 times their cost. My plan gives Medicare the power to negotiate with the pharmaceutical companies, just like the Veterans Administration does. Bring down the average cost of prescription drugs is a gigantic way. It really does. It affects the total amount of money you got to write out of that checkbook. So gas is up and food is up, which we're going to get down come hell or high water. But there's other things we can do beyond getting the price of insulin down to $35 a month. Imagine the difference it could make. Imagine the difference it could make if, in fact, you had other things I've been proposing. Just imagine if you're in a situation where